Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
Oh, and I am off the ball here. I'm trying to add in the last couple notes here. Welcome to Yesterday's Legends, the old and the degenerated version of the team, where we look back on our initial take of Season 3 of Legends and find out, were we right? This time around, totally pun intended there, we are looking at Zari's arrival and Ray's childhood in Phone Home, episodes 3 and 4, and I am singing in the rain. Well, I'm not really going to sing The Flash.
That's great. I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm Harley Quinn.
And I'm just back from a date with Ray's mom. Just kidding. X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
Jeez, Gideon, what do you think of that? Him going on a date? That's great. Do you like Ray's mom?
What a bitch.
That was even from this episode.
Oh, I think she's a little jealous.
Could be.
Oh, love it, guys. Well, welcome to the show. We are doing our Season 3 rewatch, and we got Harley back this week, so yay for that. I feel like we haven't seen or talked to her in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, as they say. Well, we are part of the Cybercast network. We sometimes forget to do this full rant, and I really want to shout out to Silvervox, our friend John McGrail over there on the Dive Into DC podcast, because he is like king of promos. That guy really, really highlights all of our shows on the network here, and I can't thank him enough for how much he really puts into it, the energy and the positivity into making our network sound good and making sure everybody knows about our shows. So I just want to say thanks if he's listening. And to go check out Dive Into DC, because him and the Green Butterfly, they are a ray of shining positivity and light. They with all the stuff going on in the movie and TV world right now with DC and the amount of negativity around it and the complaining and the crying and I'm not always up there in full support of what DC is doing, but man, check out Dive Into DC, because those guys, they're positive about everything, and they make you feel good about what DC is bringing and what they have to offer, whether it's comics or TV or movies or whatever. Just go check out their show, support them on our network, because they do good stuff. I'm really, really happy that they're with us.
Oh yeah,
and
I love their show.
Yeah, and then also Mandalore, of course. We're right in the middle of covering Ahsoka, because oh my gosh, Ahsoka, guys. I know Jeff's watching it. Harley, have you gotten into it yet?
Oh God, no! I lost access to Disney Plus, so I'm not watching anything at the moment.
We'll have to get you access somehow. Ahsoka is something special. Oh my God, is it something special? It is amazing what they're doing over there with that one. So check out the Mandalore podcast if you want to hear our long, in-depth coverage of Ahsoka. And that's it. Let's get to some news, because it's been a while. We got some news. Yes, we do.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
Well, we kind of knew this was coming, but as reported by Variety, Superman and Lois Season 4's premiere is expected to be delayed until summer of 2024 at the earliest, mainly due to the ongoing strikes by the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild. So we support those two groups, and we're sad that we're going to have the season pushed back, but we want the actors and the writers to be paid, because they deserve to get what they need to survive. And but it just means we're going to have a longer break before like new content. So yeah, that's sad, but we kind of saw that coming. So
yeah, I mean, we want to have our show back, and we want to be able to cover it and give you guys content, but at the same time, we don't want it rushed. We want them to have the time to write some good stuff because Superman is at the top of its game right now, and we don't want that. We don't want that to lose in quality because of all the stuff that's going on. So we're just gonna have to wait. But we're doing the rewatch, and as soon as we're done this, we've got another show that we've found that we're gonna cover for you guys. So once we get close to the end of this, we'll let you know, so you guys can get on board the Waverider or stay on board with us and watch this new superhero-based show that we found that we're going to decide to cover, just to bring you some content and fill in the gaps. So
yeah,
because we don't know. And the other one, I was going to run it by you guys. I'm just going to do it live on the show here. Another show I would love to get in. I don't know if you guys watched it. Was the Tomorrow People? Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah,
I
watched the original back in the day. It aired on Nickelodeon here in the States.
Right.
Wow.
And so, like, it was, the original is an import from the UK, and it had multiple seasons, and so then when they did the remake on the CW, I was all in. So yeah.
Well, that's with Robbie Amell, right?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, you know what? We all know Robbie Amell. He played, Firestorm for a little while, and I thought that's kind of a nice little connection to our show to kind of keep us in the Arrowverse a little bit. It's his own superhero show. After he left Flash and Legends, he got to do this one, and I actually really liked it. I think it is a great superpower-based TV show, and I wish it got picked up because it was so good and it was doing so well in the ratings. I can't remember exactly what happened to it, but they didn't pick it up for a second season, and they chose a different show instead. Even though the other show had way less viewership, it had more people talking about it in social media, and they deemed that more important. So they kept that show going and canceled Tomorrow People. I'm like, really? It was so good, especially as it ramped up to the end. It was so good. So
yeah,
if you guys want to cover that one just to fill a gap when we're done this, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
So we are recording a week late because of life stuff going on, but we're keeping our recording schedule. So next Friday night, we are going to be covering episodes 5 and 6 of Legends Season 3. So please get your feedback in by Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the 22nd for those 2 episodes.
Yeah. It's just because we're trying to follow a timeline, so trying to get this rewatch done by a certain amount of time because other things are coming, and we just want to stay on track. So you got a week. We'll have 2 episodes back to back, which is cool. Now, the last thing I want to throw in here, guys, I don't know if you have had time to check it out, but I am watching Heels. That is Stephen Amell's new TV show based on wrestling. Season 2 is in full swing right now, and oh my gosh, it is some of the best TV I've ever seen. It is up there in the top 5 favorite shows in the last 10 years. It is that good.
Nice.
Stephen
Amell films here in Georgia.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. But his acting, you forget he's Oliver Queen. This is a completely new character, and it's amazing. He's doing such a good job. And his brother is played by an actor that was in Vikings for all the years of Vikings, so you guys will recognize him from there. And it's just so good. The writing and the dialogue the dialogue that is written for these guys, it's just amazing. And the one character I never thought I would enjoy, his name is Wild Bill, and he's like an over the hill, washed up wrestler, and he's just womanizer and drunk all the time, and he's turning out to be the best character on the show. They just had an entire episode based on his origin story and what he used to be, and it blew me away. Like, this show brings me to tears. It's a wrestling TV show, and you get a tear in your eye, and it's, oh my gosh, it's so good. Check out Heels, guys. Seriously, even just to support Stephen Amell and what he's been doing since he left the Arrowverse. So
nice.
Cool.
Yeah. And for the video watchers, if you guys are on YouTube and checking us out right now, look at our fancy new backgrounds. Ooh, look at where everybody is. We're on the Waverider. You guys always wondered, like, we say we're on the Waverider. Well, we're proving it to you right now. We are. Of course, I'm stuck in the hallway. I don't know why. Like, I got kicked out of the bridge or something. Like,
You drew the short straw.
Yeah, I drew the short straw. Treat me like Rory. Come on.
Yeah, I've got the fancy library over here. Study, whatever it's called.
Whatever it's called. Yeah, quite
I'm on the
often
bridge.
Jeff's piloting, and you're talking to Gideon, getting the next mission set up.
That's right.
Yeah. Maybe
You're doing maintenance, I guess. In the hallway.
I'm on my way somewhere. Well, let's get into covering this episode 3 and 4, and the first one is called Zari. Let's get into that one.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Ratings.
Yes, I love this one. I gave this one 9 elemental totems. This was an amazing episode. We got totem battles. We got time ship standoffs. We got the introduction of Zari and so much more. The writing of the lines was quick and quippy. It's hard to say. Quick and quippy. Plus, everyone in the cast played a vital role in the whole story. So I just loved this episode. So good.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm right there with you. I gave this 9 OG Zaris. I agree. This was really well written, really well executed. This season had so much promise in the beginning, but if I recall correctly, and we will see if I am remembering this right, they do struggle to bring it home a little bit. They were still teetering on this point at like a little bit more serious than goofy. And later this season, we know they're going to fully embrace the goofy. It's just going to go full tilt. Legends, how we ended, here we come. Goofy Legends, here we come. So it'll be interesting to see how I kind of feel about that. I don't want to call it a decline, but the shift in definite shift in tone. Because it definitely shifts this season. This is the turning point. Let's see. I don't know what I was thinking at this point. Sorry. I'm reading my notes and I don't remember where I was going with this because I got off on a tangent as usual. But something.
Did you go on a vision quest with Nate? Is that what's happening here?
I did. I did. Yes. I'm sorry. It's that's what's going on. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Eventually, I get there. Eventually. So the fine line. Okay, so the line between the serious and the goofy. So they walked that well this episode. Really well this episode. I would have been okay if they had kind of kept that tone a little bit more throughout. I don't know. Maybe I'm just misremembering stuff, but I do feel like season 3 is a definite shift into the goofy, and this is still more serious compared to the absolute zany craziness we get in later seasons. Like we get some absolutely ridiculous stuff. So I don't know. These early seasons were really good. Tone was very different. I also had fun with Legends at the end. You know, that final season, they really brought it home. I don't know. Season 6 was a struggle for me, but I don't know. We'll see. We might have to keep this rewatch going indefinitely, so maybe we'll revisit everything, and I can hear how I feel about it again.
Yeah, totally. Well, I know what you're getting at, because that's kind of the whole underlining idea of this rewatch is going back to it after all these years. Do we still feel the same, and do we remember how we felt back then? And when we watch it, is it the same thing? And like you, I'm watching these early seasons, and it's like, man, this stuff was really good back then. Every character was integral. Every character was important. Every character got an equal amount of screen time. Mm-hmm. And the stories were good. The drama was good. The acting was good. All the actors were into their roles. Like this, I think the point we're at right now in season 3, because season 2 ended on such a high, and I think they reached their peak, and they're like, all right, season 3, let's go. And all the actors like into it. Yeah, we're a hit show. We're doing well. That we got lots of viewership. We're considered the best of the CW. Like everything was flying high for them in the beginning of the season, and they started to trickle in a bit of the goofiness. And I am curious, like you, Harley, where in season 3 does it start to falter and lose its stride? For some reason,
it's the midway point with the introduction of a certain infamous character.
Yeah, but I don't even remember if it was they introduced the doll, but it wasn't until the very end when he actually comes back full to life. I almost feel like it's the finale that drops the ball, and from there they never can pick it up again. I feel like the whole season is generally pretty good. So that's why I'm going to be curious as we watch it.
Yeah.
I am too. For some reason in my head, I have the midpoint of season 3 as goofy. Just like, we just jumped into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas like the beginning, they're still trying to hang on a little bit to that like not quite serious sci-fi, but that more serious tone, especially because we're about to get the introduction of like Constantine and go through some really dark stuff soon, right? That happens in the beginning of the season, or does that happen in the second half of the season?
It's all Damien Dark and Nora and
Yes,
the demonology and all that stuff.
Yes, it gets kind of dark.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I think it was serious. I'll be curious if it goes halfway or all the way through. I don't really remember. I know when we were talking X-Force last week, I remember this season. I remember them bringing up the threat of Mollusk because Jeff was surprised. Wow, they mentioned Mollusk in the first episode. They already laid the groundwork. And it's like, oh yeah, but you know what I remember is the entire season is building up the threat of Mollusk. Build. This huge evil is coming. How are we going to fight it? And when he finally shows up, it's a complete fizzle out. He does nothing. He's a demon that flies out of a hole in the ground, flaps his wings a little bit, and then we have the stupid ending. I'm like, you built up the entire season for that? Like, who's Mollusk? Mollusk lived up to nothing. And I remember us going, the threat of Mollusk, like, holy crap, when is he going to show? We were all scared of this Mollusk because they built it up. So I'm curious if we're going to get that level of build up again. We're going to feel it. Oh yeah, this is how they did it. And it just never paid off. So, but I'm curious.
Malice.
Yeah. Before I even get to my rating, like, did you have a quick remembrance of the first 2 episodes? Because you missed the last time we were here.
Oh,
so the premiere when they introduced Ava and the Time Bureau and Gary gets introduced. Yeah, just give us a little nutshell of what you remember about those.
I think I had forgotten 90% of the first episode of season 3. I was like sitting there watching it and I was like, I remember none of this. I remember none of this. But it was good. There was like so much stuff in there. And I definitely remember the introduction of Ava because it stands out. She was just such a hard ass, you know what I mean? Like she was so like toe the company line. And it's just because you know where she ends. And so it's just so funny to like kind of watch it right now.
And none of us liked her back then. We're like, oh my God, beat her up, Sarah.
Supposed to. She was supposed to be, she was the foil for Sarah. That was the whole point. And it's so funny to kind of like watch the two of them like go at it, just like total hatred right now. I'm like, oh, I know where this goes. It's so funny. The second episode, I forgot how heavy it was on the Amaya and Nate relationship. I also distinctly remember hating that episode, and I don't know why. I don't remember why. I have to go back and listen to our original coverage because I didn't think it was all that bad. I don't remember what I hated about it, but I distinctly remember being really disappointed with that episode. I don't know why. I remember episode 1 high point for me. Episode 2 was a total low point, and I couldn't tell you why. I enjoyed it the second time around, or third or fourth or whatever. I've watched it more than once, but with the years in between, I enjoyed it much more. So,
and that's what's interesting. Like we're all saying, I forgot this and I forgot that. So that means that we've let enough time go by, to warrant a rewatch. Because when it's feeling this fresh again, I think that's a good time to do a rewatch when you've forgotten things, and it allows us to enjoy it again. And
I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm enjoying it more than the first time. So I have to go back and listen. I distinctly remember not liking that second episode for some reason. I can't remember why though.
Well, you'll have to put a list together of our ratings because there was still just you and me back then. So I'd be curious to see where our ratings are.
I have them all.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
I have them all. Keep talking. Let's move on the show, but I'll find it. They'll make that.
Okay. Well, my rating for Zari is a 9, and it's Zari. That is all. I don't have to say any more because everybody understands. But flannel shirts, faded jeans, and all kinds of quippy attitude. The best character has arrived on the show. This season starts to hit its stride now that all are aboard and we have many through storylines happening, keeping us guessing and wondering what's coming next. The writers had us talking and speculating back then, and that was a good thing. That was what I'm noticing now is the writing was so good. They constantly having us talk week to week. Oh my God, what did that mean? Where are they going? Why is this? Why? And that just never stuck in the later seasons. That whole depth of wanting to understand and know what's coming next. They just lost that edge that they had, and it's really cool to see how good the show was back then. And it's making me realize, yeah, Legends was at the top of its game and one of the best shows back then.
It was. I have our ratings.
Okay.
Oh, fascinating. Our ratings go up quite a lot towards the end, which is very interesting. For episode 2, the one that I distinctly remember disliking, you gave it a 6.5 and I gave it a 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
It must have been all about the romance stuff.
It was. I think we both weren't vibing on that at the time, but a lot of time has gone past.
Yeah. How about the premiere?
The premiere, you gave it a 7.5 and I gave it a 9.
Oh, nice.
I do remember liking that premiere. I still like that premiere.
I think I rated it higher last week, didn't I, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay, so this week, you were at a 7.5. I was at an 8.
Nice.
So we both liked it better on the rewatch.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll bring up the other ones when we get to that episode. So.
Well, let's get into our discussion then for Zari.
Gather together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
All right.
So we start this episode out with the introduction by Sarah. And I love these character episode introductions where we had a rotating cast of, they would say the same thing basically, but it would be in their own voice. And so I just love those.
I remember this must be when they started doing that, each character, because who did it through season 1 and season 2? I don't even remember. Was it? Oh, it was Rip, wasn't it?
Rip did a lot of season 1.
Yeah, I think he did all
season
of
2. They started. I think season 2 they started rotating some of the people. At some point they ditch it all together.
Yeah,
I don't remember in which. It's might be in 4. It's definitely 5, 6, and 7.
It's gone. It's
gone. Yeah.
We'll have to keep track of that and see. But this is fun. These episodes, they all have their own take on it, and it's cool. Yeah, it was fun.
I just love the way that each new season brought like a different twist on who they were and how they got to be legends. You know what I mean? I liked the way it changed every season.
Well, is it this season or is it last season where we get the Mick one that I use all the time? Who writes this crap anyway? Like that. When is that coming? Is it in this season?
The Vietnam episode.
It might be.
Is that the Vietnam episode? That was very Mick-centric.
Yeah, you're right. Could be. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Talks about the time pigs. I think it has to be this season because we have the Time Bureau.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
I don't think it was part of season 2, was it?
Well, we'll find out. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Our season 2 rewatch was a long time ago.
I know. So long ago that people forgot we even did it.
Yeah, well, Jeff wasn't even part of our team back then. So that was after a rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. It's been quite some time. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
But I love, History Nate and Science Stein. They're both in their elements with Nate bringing in the historical facts, the real reason he got brought on the Waverider in the first place, and Stein just geeking out and doing the science. I just love, that it just felt true to their characters, and it was just fun to see them in those roles again.
And that's why I say our show was hitting its stride now, because it peaked at the end of season 2, and they found everything that makes this show successful. Because I think this season at least is the best versions of our characters, because we get the original Zari that we all fall in love with, and we have historian Nate, and we have Mick, who's still integral to the team, and this is when he's starting to transition and become friends with everybody. Like these are the best versions of our characters. So our show is at a high right now, and it's Nate. Nate should have stayed like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I like these versions better.
Yeah.
So their anachronism is in 2042, and they get a call from Gary because Kuasa's water powers, she's using them to take out this A.R.G.U.S transport. And this was an amazing scene, just getting to see her take down this transport and the CGI. I'm like, that's pretty good CGI.
That's when we had a budget back then, right? Like they put a lot of money into the effects back then. But along with that scene, I forgot Zari was introduced to us in chains in the back of a van to start things off for her story. Like she's a wanted criminal. I completely forgot about that. And I also forgot about Kuasa. Like that character is a character that doesn't stick with me. I forgot about her, and she's pretty decent. I mean, she's not a bad actor, and so in fact, I recognize her now from seeing her somewhere else. But and then the fact that they're in 2042, but they're also in Seattle, which is where Zari gets found. I forgot that Zari was originated in Seattle. Like all these little tidbits of information, I forgot.
Yeah, no, they pack a lot into this episode, and I think we forget because everything changes. So it doesn't matter anymore after this season. Well, after next season, really, it matters up until next season, and then they change it all.
Yeah,
that's true.
Talking about that, Zari's family looks very different in this photo that she's got of them, especially Bayrod.
Oh my gosh.
Just a little bit.
If you pause it, none of the actors in the pic are the ones that we actually get when they introduce them on the show. Like everybody's completely different. And it's funny that we never even mentioned that. I don't think we picked up on that the first time, because who knew how many, like 3 seasons later, that they're going to kill Zara and introduce Bayrod? Why would we remember this picture? We don't. But man, when you look at how different they actually were, that was pretty bad. That's a bad picture.
I mean, it is, but I'm guessing they never expected to have to cast her family. I mean, how many years later?
Yeah.
Like after this picture was taken, or is that a picture of like her and how sometimes they use pictures of actors like from their life, like with their own family or friends.
Wow.
I wonder if it was one of those, because they were never planning to cast her family ever. They were dead in this timeline. And it's not until the end of season 4 when they end up kind of like going back on that. So I was curious about that. I was like, I wonder if they even were actors in there, or, I mean, she looks pretty put together and it looks slightly staged. So probably, but I mean, maybe more like extras, not people they could actually cast in roles.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, cameraman, sound guy, come here for a second. Click.
I mean,
you look decently like her.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. I do ultimately think that the casting, when they actually cast the actors to play her family, that they did a better job of making them match than in this picture.
Yeah. And so the legends arrive and mess things up. Typical.
They mess things up for the better, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly. But I gotta say, Hacker Zari is so cool. I mean, I always loved Zari 1.0, and I'd forgotten, like, just how bad she had it and how hard it was in 2042 that religion is illegal, metahumans are illegal. It's just so hard in so many levels, but it really shaped the character. So
it did. I mean, this is the best version of Zari by far. We're going to say that so many times this season, I think, but it is really reminding us how much we loved her and where she came from and why she was such a rough and tough character because of I forgot about her religion being illegal and and all that stuff with her family and her, like I said, her being a criminal. I forgot all of that, and it's like, oh yeah, it really makes sense why Zari is the way she is, and she was tough as nails back then.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Zari is my favorite Zari. She was my favorite character. Then I kind of ended up switching over to Sarah as being my favorite character because she's the only one who more or less lasts the entire run. Because Zari changed so much, and I still love the actress. I mean, and she does unique things, with like the new versions of herself. But this Zari was my favorite Zari.
Yeah.
Well, we have to give her credit. Why can't I think of her name? Who's the actress? Tala Ash.
Yeah, Tala.
The fact that she can create such a different version of herself for Zari 2.0. I mean, that's her acting. That's her skill. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. We maybe didn't like the character as much, but you got to give her credit for that.
Oh yeah, she's a great actress.
Yeah, I think that's the neat thing about this rewatch is getting to see like her introduced, thinking about where we saw her, when the series ended, and the same thing goes with Ava too. Yep. Like we just talked about how like hard edged and just by the book Ava is, and then just how much being with the Legends and being with Sarah changed her and knowing her full backstory. So that's the fun thing about the rewatch too, is just seeing where they were introduced and where they get to. So it's just fun that way.
It is. And an interesting point you made too about Sarah, like all the characters I think changed a lot. I mean, Nate changes, Ray changes, Mick changes. Sarah pretty much stays true to the course all the way through the show. She develops and gets deeper and more nuanced, but it's still the same Sarah we begin with overall. So that's an interesting thing to think about. She's the only one.
Yeah, that's true. She doesn't have as much of a radical change.
Yeah, exactly.
She definitely changes. She softens a bit.
Well, she grows.
But it's character development. Yeah. It's not like character actors changing roles and exploring something new. Mm-hmm. But with her, it's character development. She's growing. She is, going from the, I will say, like, being with whoever to being, the one woman person, and and growing as a leader too. So yeah, it's hers is more character growth than character change. So
yeah.
But growth for the better. Whereas when we talk about like Nate and he falls off the rails, and Ray definitely falls off the rail, that's where what I'm kind of getting at is the differences in where their characters go. That she's the one that still stays true. We loved her from the beginning, and we loved her in the end. She just grew as we grew with her. But the other characters are like, man, why did they let Ray go? Like he's not the Boy Scout anymore, and why is Nate so boring and dreary all the time? Like things changed, and Sarah stayed true. So what you missed last week, Harley. What I'm noticing in these first 4 episodes, our friend Podcast Overlord will he'll slap me on the back. I told you. I'm really noticing Sarah Lance damn, she looks good in this season. Holy cow, her eyes are so striking blue, and I'm not usually into blue eyes as much, but there's something about it. I was like, man, Kevin, you were right all along. Okay, I'll give that to you, because her hairstyles and her makeup and everything. I was like, okay, all right.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So we talked about Mick. I absolutely love that Mick was taking the lead in finding Zari. He was going to his hangout, where he would go, and he was thinking like an outlaw to find her. And it was like, yes, this is, him playing to his strengths and being of total use for the Legend. So it was neat getting to see him, be at the lead there.
Yeah. Plus, it wouldn't be Legends without the seasonal bar fight.
Which was one of the best things about the show back then. They always had a big brawl somewhere.
Yeah.
Usually in a bar. Yes. Yeah. Oh man. I'm not gonna lie. I did forget most of this episode too, and so I remembered some of the really big points, but mostly, I could have been watching this for the first time. So I'm enjoying this. There's been enough time that I'm like, oh, I don't remember that. I'm like, oh, well, all right. Well, this is cool. But I definitely enjoyed the big bar scene. I enjoyed Mick getting to take the lead. I think the writing was more evenly distributed. across the cast. The cast was still pretty small at this point. The main cast, it gets bloated in later seasons. So that's when the problems usually start. So.
Yeah. And again, I think something that I'll be beating like a dead horse this season is Mick was still important back then. And it makes me miss his character. He becomes a favorite too. I mean, I always loved his character and his story, but it's a shame they like he was important back then. And Sarah came to rely on him a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know why they let that go.
Yeah. So, as we alluded to earlier, Nate and Amaya go on a vision quest, and Amaya's undergoing the seriousness and talking to her ancestors and getting the whole scoop, and Nate is just high.
And this is Nick Zano at his best. Like, he is hilarious in these scenes. Like, he's so good at the physical comedy and delivering the almost Bill and Ted like lines of dialogue that he has, and he's funny. He is so funny back then.
I mean, I think these are some of my favorite Nate scenes. I agree. He was very, very funny in these scenes.
And we're gonna have it coming up because it's part of my favorite scenes. It's just unfortunate the audio isn't as good because you need the visuals too with him when he's acting it out. But whatever, we'll still enjoy it.
So, in the midst of this, they finally convince Zari that she needs to go with them as far as getting the protection from Kuasa. But she has a stipulation. You got to help me free my brother, which is really just a heist to get her totem. And so this leads to a lot of interesting scenes here with in the prison cell and letting people go and different things like that. And we find out the totems are linking up. So,
and she uses the totem to create a whirlwind around herself, and she takes off into the sky and flies away like a superhero. I don't remember them ever using that since. I think that's the first and only time we see her fly. Like, takes off like Superman. And it reminds me of the Super Friends, the old cartoon from the 70s and 80s. There's a guy on there, a hero on there, that kind of came into the later seasons. He wasn't used very often, but his legs would spin and he'd turn into a tornado so he could fly. His name was Samurai. And she looked exactly like him. That her bottom half of her legs became a tornado and off she went. But I think that's the only time they ever used that. It was right here.
It was very rare if they did it other times.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't think she flew ever again, which is just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that they could do with the Wind Totem, but then they had to kind of scale it back. I think budget gets in the way.
Yeah.
In later seasons. But.
So they tied Amaya's mission that she got from her ancestors to helping Zari. And I like that the way that they did it made the storylines coming together feel authentic. Is like, okay, you're rescuing this person, but what's going on? But like, it's like Amaya's job to teach Zari how to use a totem, because it's her brother who had used the totem. So I like the way they did that.
And I forgot all the totems being connected and what the story was behind all of them. So there was so much going on in this season story-wise. Like they had so many different main storylines happening at the same time. I forgot all of this, the whole connection of everything. Like Amaya and Zari connected. I forgot that. You got the Wind Totem, the Animal Totem, the Fire Totem. Like I remember, isn't it this season coming up when there's like the Death Totem that's coming up somewhere?
Yes.
And we were all like, ooh, the Death. Sarah gets it. Whoa, she's gonna be super powered finally. I remember all that's all coming back to me.
I also remember that this storyline was so promising, and then they totally dropped the ball at the end. So we had like so many different theories of like how they could do it, and in the end, it's Bebo Voltron. So
they dropped the totem in the end, we should say.
Yeah. So the totems. plural.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how we end up feeling after rewatching the whole season.
Voltron, Care Bear stare, all of it. Yep.
Captain Planet.
Captain Planet. Oh my
Our
god.
powers combined.
Okay.
I feel a heart attack coming on already.
Okay. So, man, Kuasa is a mean and powerful adversary. Just the way that she's fighting and going up against Zari and then basically saying, like, let me help you get revenge on those who killed your family in return for the totem. But I really enjoyed getting to see that small totem battle between the two of them. It was really cool to see them kind of duke it out.
I forget what Kuasa's reasons were. Why was she going after Zari wanting to kill her? I don't remember. Did they ever explain it? Because I don't even remember picking it up here on a rewatch. Why? What's Kuasa doing? Why?
She's trying to get the totems, I think.
For herself?
Isn't she working with Nora?
If that comes up, then I guess we'll find
think
out.
so, but I can't. Like, I'm very fuzzy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely fuzzy, but I think they were all trying to get the totems, and there's different reasons for why they all wanted the totems. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. I don't know, because like I only watched it once.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
back in the y'all were watching it a couple times for the podcast. So
we were. Yeah.
So
you guys must be warm in the wintertime. You're both so fuzzy. Wah, wah. Wait a second. Do I have it here?
So we get this very cool scene in the Temporal Zone of Sarah playing chicken with Ava between the two time ship, and the banter back and forth was so fun. It was just awesome. I totally forgot that the Time Bureau had a time ship, so that was a total surprise to me on the rewatch.
Sorry, I'm just choking my water here. Yeah, that time ship was huge, like with cannons, and I don't think they ever used that again either. I think that's the only time we see Ava flying it around and attacking them like it's Star Wars. It was
think
cool.
they more or less get on the same page after this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think you're right. I don't think that gets used again either. But I forgot about that. Speaking of things I forgot about, this entire scene, I was like, that happened? That happened. Okay. All right, we're doing this.
Oh, man. Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. And then at the end of the episode, we get Mick inviting Amaya to, and also Zari inviting Amaya, Mick and Amaya inviting Zari to join the Legends team. And the team just got better. And I love it was those two inviting her. Mick coming from the outlaw on the run, you need a place, and this is a good place for you, and it's safe. And then Amaya saying, like, I can help you with the totems. They both have their reasons, but both inviting her on the ship. And, I think the team is better because she came on board, and I like that they were the ones who invited her on board.
I love back then that Mick was the one to befriend her first. Like you were saying, that whole criminal similarity background, that's what he's impressed with. And this is a season of growth for Mick, because he's coming out of his shell. He's starting to, befriend everybody and have their backs and think of them as a team, because to him, a team is always important. He used to always be him and Snart, but now this is his team. And you see him coming out of that shell and making this team his new family, and this was just part of it. He sees how Zari can be important to them. He sees where she's at, and he can relate to her. And I remember as the season goes along, we get a few scenes where it's just the two of them just talking and hanging out, and I just love that there's that friendship underlining with these two characters. It's just cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I liked the ending.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, that's all we got for Zari. Almost. We're going to do some favorite scenes. It was funny last week, Harley, you missed because I was looking at him going, you and me did favorite scenes. I looked back on our coverage and we were still at a point where you were picking 4 funny scenes and I was picking 4 serious scenes.
Oh, geez.
So we had 8 clips back then. So I look back in the folders and I'm like, did I pick the same scene? Then I have to go check to make sure if I picked them or not. So
I'm pretty sure. Didn't we pick the high scenes at one point? I can't remember. I think I might have picked one of them.
What do you mean the high scenes?
The one that you're about to play.
Oh, maybe.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, the high as in Nate's high on drugs. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I'm thinking height. Like, what do you mean high? Like, oh yeah, we probably did for sure. But it was just funny when I look back. It's like, oh, we were still doing 4 each back then. Holy cow! Half our show was sound clips back then.
Yeah, and we let people vote. We don't do that anymore.
No, that's true. Oh yeah, that's right. We let people vote.
Yeah. We had the poll.
Yeah, we had the poll. Pick your favorite scene from this week's episode. Holy cow, we did a ton of weird stuff back then.
Yep, we gave up on it after a while.
Well, it was so much extra work, right?
Yeah.
So the growth of our show as we went along. So, all right, let's get to favorite scenes.
Shape out an eagle.
All right, go for it, X-Force.
I called this one, We Don't Need Backup. So let's take a listen.
Sarah Lance, I see that you and your team have managed to get yourselves in over your heads. Again?
Chill, lady. We were just trying to help.
By starting a prison riot at the A.R.G.U.S facility. When are you going to learn that the Legends should not be interfering with Bureau affairs?
Maybe when you stop screwing things up.
Perhaps it's best not to antagonize someone on such a large time ship.
I don't care what Gary says. We don't need backup.
Sarah, I need backup. Sarah, where are you guys?
Interesting. Sounds like one of your team members has stumbled sideways into finding our assassin.
Yes, that's rather our style.
Just give us his coordinates. We would be happy to save him for you.
You know these guys are just gonna hand Zari back to those A.R.G.U.S bastards who are gonna do God knows what to her.
And if you don't comply, we would also be happy to scatter you all into space.
Did you just shoot at us?
I am not screwing around. Give us those coordinates. The next one will not be a warning, Miss Lance.
No, we shouldn't have trusted that time, dweeb.
Just give her what she wants.
Fine. I'll uplink their coordinates to you now.
You gotta be kidding me.
Ready?
Ready to receive.
Whoa, they're gone.
I can see that, Gary. Track their signature and follow them.
Oh, this scene was so full of good quotes. I love the Sarah arguing with Ava, Stein's quip about the Legends style, and so much more. It was just so fun, and everybody just being true to character and being a part of the whole discussion. It was just fun.
It was so fun. I mean, there's just lots going on, and like we said, this is when we weren't too fond of Ava, but going back and watching her now, I mean, she was so good at that too, at being stern and strict, and she goes, "I'm not kidding around. I'm serious." But, like she's yeah. Good stuff back then. All right, Harley, Wonder Twins, we are teaming up for this.
Yes, we are.
This next quote, we both decided we like the Nate scenes when he is high, so I strung a couple of them together here. Hopefully it plays as well as it does visually. Here is the Nate scenes.
I can see through my hand.
Are you on drugs?
Your face. I want your face. Okay, buddy, not a good idea.
Gideon! As I was trying to tell you, Mr. Haywood is under the influence of a hallucinogenic compound.
To help Amaya with her totem problem, okay? It's totally safe. People in the village do it all the time. It's safe, I think.
Get him to his quarters now. Give him some water and maybe his fidget spinner.
I told you, bro. Let's go. Come on. Go, bro. All right. Just...
I'm afraid our rear deflectors have been completely lost, Captain.
Sir, please. We still have enough time to arrange a detente with the Time Bureau. A compromise, if you will.
Sorry, Martin. I don't compromise.
Would you please help me talk some sense into her?
I like broccoli.
I like broccoli. Oh, that would make me laugh.
That part's so funny, yeah. Because he's like, I like broccoli.
Just like mimics his gesture. So funny.
It's like he's singing in the opera. Yeah, good stuff. Show was so good back then. Such good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, before we jump into the ratings for our next episode, episode 4, we're just going to have a little break for our ads if they happen to show up. And we are possibly back, or we never left. Who knows? We're on a time ship, right? You'll never know. Let's get into our ratings for episode 4 called Phone Home.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice,
I gave this one 8 trips back in time. This episode gave us so much insight into Ray, and I really appreciated that. And I also loved Zari starting to bond with the team. And then we get the subplot of Jax, Mick, and Stein. And that was just a fun story. But it makes me upset about what's to come with Stein. And so, but I just, there were so many good points about this story, but I didn't like it quite as much as Zari because of some of the ins and outs. But I thought it was just a fun story, and I loved a lot of the 80s fashion. So yeah. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right, I gave this one 8 baby dominators. And I actually remembered a lot more of this episode than some of the others. I distinctly remember the musical bit with Singing in the Rain and all of that. And then, of course, like Zari bonding with Ray, like little Ray. I enjoyed those scenes. I thought they were adorable. And it just kind of, it shows like her discomfort of feeling kind of like out of place and out of time. Because like the time, like coming back into the 80s is just so wildly different from like the world that she just came from. And so I thought that was kind of like a cool way to like kind of showcase her like becoming a part of the team. And the parenting aspects with Ray's mom, those stood out to me a lot more this time around. And I think that just simply has to do with the fact that my children are older and I've seen a lot more. And it's just there's certain things that you kind of notice differently when you have kids. So
yeah, I guess. And I'm curious, Harley, because I remember you hating this one or hating the Baby Dominator. What was your rating back then?
We both gave it 8s.
Oh, okay. God, but I remember you just hating the Baby Dominator. Like, oh my God, the worst thing ever. I hate that stupid whatever. Like you were.
Did I hate the Baby Dominator? I hated the Dominators in the Invasion episodes last season, the crossover. Okay. But for some reason, I feel like we both liked this episode because, I mean, it's cute.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like fun musical stuff in it. I remember that. I don't remember what I said about it clearly. Yeah. But I feel like the Baby Dominator was like more cute, and then like with the mom coming in, those were the parts that I had forgotten, that the mom Dominator had come in and was looking for the Baby Dominator, and so I feel like those maybe played a little differently for me this time around than originally.
Right. Okay. Well, cool. I'm giving this one a 7.5 wake-up calls to Ray this time around. This one, although a bit on the goofy side with the Baby Dominator and all the E.T. references, it was still hard to watch little Ray and adult Ray have to learn some hard lessons at the same time together. Ray having to admit the world isn't as wonderful as he perceives it was tough for me. Like I really struggled watching Ray and Brandon Routh's performance. Like, man, this was a real slap to the face for him, having to realize the world isn't the way he sees it. And I remember this episode, it is the one that I got all the stuff from for our best intro ever, Jess. You remember that?
Yes.
The one where I used the or the Mother Dominator, and I like, this is when I spent hours and I went all out to create our fancy intros that we see. I forgot about that too. Like every week I did a fancy intro based on the clips from the show, and this was my favorite one because it was all about you and me capturing the Dominator, using our superpowers and capturing the Dominator. I'll see if I can find it while we're going through, and I'll replay it just because it was fun. But that's when I used to have a lot of time to edit. I just don't have that kind of time anymore.
Real life.
That.
Yeah.
Life has changed for all of us.
So this episode gave us the Stein intro, and so it was again fun. We're like, okay, new person doing the intro.
Yeah.
They each have like different inflections.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's interesting. I wonder, I was trying to pay attention here. Is it what the show is based on is who they decided to read the intro? Because this one was kind of about Stein and trying to get back to his daughter in time, right? So
that's a good point. I think you're right.
Yeah, it could be.
I think the characters that are more prominent in the episode will do the intros.
Yeah. So Ray is caught in a ET style situation. Young Ray, I should say.
Yes. A very complete homage.
Yeah, the nods here were like, okay, this is ET, and it was fun. It was fun. So, but I thought it was neat. But yeah,
well, the 80s, like you said in your opening there, Harley, it's my favorite time period by far. That's my childhood. I was born in the 70s, but the 80s was really, truly where it was at for me. Because I was, hitting my stride as a kid, and just this show, like watching these rewatches, and we've talked about this before, but the amount of time travel we used to do back then, like actually travel to time periods and spend an entire episode in them and living that time period. I miss that on our show so much.
Yeah.
And that part about when he disappears from the bridge before Mick falls, I remember that being freaky. Once, when we hear that he died, I mean, I remember that being a shock back then when that scene happened. I was like, whoa. I remember that moment getting us thinking, oh my God, like Ray died. Because he falls backwards and he's gone. Like,
yes.
I remember us going, what the heck? Like we all freaked out. Like what just happened to Ray? Oh my God. And they're like, Ray's dead. What? Like that got us back then. It really did.
I love Ray's reaction or Mick's reaction where he's like, "You better be dead." That was funny. I also liked how they travel back in time and Ray just like reappears, like nothing happened.
Like
just
nothing
like,
happened.
oh, hey, what happened? Y'all moved.
So, yeah, Ray here. We talk about him being idealistic. He is reminding me of Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec because, he's Mr. Optimistic. He's wanting to do team building exercises, which Chris likes to do with his group on Parks and Rec, and the team doesn't have it there, and they don't have it here with Ray, and not really wanting to do these team building exercises.
Ah, yes. The slow introduction of super upbeat, super positive Boy Scout Ray, my favorite version. Yeah, definitely takes a turn this season. Many of them do.
Is it this season that he takes a turn, though? Because
him and Nate don't fully bro out until season 4. They like really bro out in season 4.
Yeah.
But the characters start turning. You see little bits of it. I mean, even though like Nate was high in the last episode, you see that like portrayal, that persona is going to come out more.
Right.
So, and it does for both of them.
Yeah. But this was when Ray was so fun, and like I've mentioned, I think this is when you can tell the actors really enjoyed their characters still.
Yeah.
Because Brandon Routh, as the seasons go on, you can tell he doesn't like where his character is going, and ultimately they leave the show, right? So this is when he was still having a good time with it. Him and Nate, for sure. All right, well, as promised, before we move on next first, as promised, I believe I found it. Let's see if it plays. Harley, you know what's fun about Halloween?
What's that?
You can wander the streets in costume and nobody's the wiser.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to snatch all those sacks of candy.
Oh, come on, Harley. You don't have to do that. Ah!
Whoa!
It's a Dominator! Harley, look out!
Holy crap! Flash, run!
You know what I'm looking for.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Harley, I'll make her dizzy. You take her out.
Okay, I lead her towards me.
Great Scott! Good shot, Harley. Gideon, prepare the holding cell.
Right away, Captain.
Your species cannot be trusted.
Whew, I suddenly hate the 80s.
Oh my god, Harley. That was crazy.
That was insane. Can you believe there was a Dominator right here?
On the Waverider, that...
What a bitch.
Well stated.
There you go. How's that for a trip down memory lane, eh?
Our stellar voice acting.
Oh, we were so good. Such good actors.
I'm glad we stopped doing that.
You were always under pressure. I remember that. You're like, oh my god, I don't know if I could do this.
I know, because you're like, make it sound more real. And I'm like, my kid is sleeping in the next room. I'm down in the basement now, but back then I was upstairs next to her bedroom. And he's like, be more something. And I'm like, I can't.
It was so much fun, though. I was writing scripts and just, I felt like I was making little mini movies for us. It was so much fun back then.
I mean, you kind of were.
Yeah.
Too bad I'm a terrible actress, so there's that.
It was fun. That was what made our show goofy. I think we were following the goofiness of the show, so just having fun.
Yeah, it got real goofy for a while.
I'm gonna have to look back at all of them and see what we did, because those were fun.
If only we had like a whole feed or something.
Yeah, it's like season 3.
Yeah. It's even sorted and categorized so nicely.
It could be, yeah. But I mean, do I have the actual clips myself still saved? Because that was a lot of editing work to do all of that. Seriously. So
I'm sure you have it somewhere on the backup drive.
Because what year was this? Like when season 2 first aired?
This was 2017.
Yeah.
Phone Home aired on Halloween 2017.
Wait, this is 2017? It originally aired in 2016. Did we get 2 seasons in 2016?
Oh, maybe.
It launched in January 1st, 2016. I was very pregnant.
And then season 2 would have started in September. Because remember they launched the show apart from all the other ones, and then they wanted everything to line up. So they started Flash and Arrow and Legends all in September.
Yeah, so we got 2 seasons in 2016.
Yeah, so season 2 started in October of 2016.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Madison was 3 months old.
And then season 1 finished in May.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And Madison was born in July.
Yeah.
And then we came back in October.
Yeah.
Yep.
It had a nice maternity leave and everything.
Yeah.
Back when the show worked in my favor.
Yeah. Here you go. There's some history for you.
Yep.
All right. Back to our show. Jeff, where are we?
Yeah. So I love that Zari already has the entire team pegged, and she calls it out how crazy that the ship is, that it only has one bathroom.
Yeah.
Like she's calling that. It's like, what do you mean it's only got one bathroom?
They all know each other very well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Little too well.
I know who was in there last.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. But once they get to the 80s, I'm loving the fashion styles and the very cool cars. I mean, the DeLorean is fine, but I'd rather take the T-tops. So.
It's hard for a show to find all these old cars that are still running to be able to use them in a TV episode, but they did find some good ones. And I just remember the big old station wagons with the wood paneling. Like, holy crap, that's straight out of Chevy
National
Chase's
Vacation.
Vacation.
Yeah.
But we used to call them beaver cars because of the wood paneling. They were known as beaver cars.
See, I was born in the 80s,
So
She's,
more of a 90s person.
she's the young one.
Hi.
Baby Harley.
Not that young anymore. My birthday's on Monday. I just realized that.
Oh.
Wow.
I just realized that, but I'm announcing it. My birthday's on Monday.
All right, you all heard it here. Send Harley some birthday songs and messages on Monday.
Yep.
Yes. Because, well, this is. Oh yeah, I guess this will be out. Yeah, because I'm 1 year closer to 40. Yes. For me.
Big 40.
As I speak to the two men who are like older than me.
Yeah, I'm half a century, Harley. Come on.
I'm turning 49 in November.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
yeah. I was say, Jeff, you are exactly 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
Martin, you're a couple more, but
Yeah. Or at least we're only
So-
showing it here, Jeff. It's only the gray right here.
yeah, and here,
But yeah, the line, the line's going back and the gray's gone.
yeah,
you can't see mine on camera.
yeah. Magic.
Magic, my gray is gone.
Yeah.
My camera's not good enough.
Oh goodness.
I don't have a beard, so
I hope not.
So-
Although the episode 2 was all about a bearded lady, so
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
at the circus.
yeah.
no, I don't have a beard. Sorry,
All right, beaver cars. Where were we?
we went way off
Yeah.
track. Okay,
Yeah,
how
so-
did we get back?
Okay, so we get Kid Ray being a shoplifter for his baby dominator.
Okay, so side note, I loved like all of the like little like delinquent things that he ends up doing because of the anachronism and the baby dominator. And Ray's like,
Yeah.
I would never do that. And
Yeah.
Broy's like, you just did. And he's
Yeah.
like, no. He's like so devastated. I love those scenes.
He's so devastated that that's not me. I don't remember doing any of that. Yeah, that was
I
funny.
never did any of that. It's so funny.
And Mick's just appreciating it all.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, oh, good job.
And yeah, so we find out that he's befriended a baby dominator.
Which I remember back then being such a big surprise because after the crossover with them being these 18-foot tall aliens and they're freaky and scary and here to kill us, and we get a baby one. I remember that just surprising the pants off of us.
Yeah. And you're right. I probably didn't like it because I hated the Dominators, but I did overall like the episode. So I thought it was cute this time around.
It was ugly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cute, ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked in this episode that we really see the background of what made Ray the man we know now. The science, the making friends out of enemies, the positivity, even the love of musicals. I really appreciate it. And hey, I'm a musical fan and Singing in the Rain is great, but I got to give Mick points too. 'Cause, Fiddler is a great movie. So
Yeah.
I know. I'm kind of with Rory. I do love Fiddler quite a bit. And I think what I love more is everyone's surprised look when he like joins the conversation. He's like, yeah, but Fiddler's better. I was like, wait, what?
we're like, what?
The looks on Stein and Sarah's face, they're just like,
Exactly. They're looking at him like,
What did you do with Mick?
Yeah. But Sarah's kind of smiling at the same time, like, okay. And Mick's just like, what?
another layer to Mick.
He got caught in a moment and didn't realize it until after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get to see Ray's mom and she's trying her best, but I mean, she honestly doesn't know how to parent him due to maybe his intellect. And it was just rough hearing her talk about him and having him hear that. It was just rough in that aspect.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out how I could word this, because if you remember back in those days, like ultra nerdy kids weren't kind of normal back then. Nerdy wasn't cool. Parents just expected their kids to go out and get lost in the neighborhood, riding their bikes and playing with their friends and doing whatever. So to have a kid that was super nerdy and kept to himself like this was a little bit different. Back then, parents thought there's something wrong with my kid. He's got to go see the counselor. He's got to go see a shrink. Like, he shouldn't be acting like this. Go roughhouse with the boys and, get into fights and throw rocks at each other. Like, things were different back then. So to have a super nerdy kid, I think they didn't know what to do with it, because that's just how it was. I mean, ride your bikes everywhere, come home for dinner. I mean, Stranger Things, I think, really captured the 80s really well of what it was like to be a kid in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So if you are younger, Jess, and you watch Stranger Things, that really gives you a good idea of what it was like.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that different in the 90s. I mean, we did the same things. I mean, we didn't have, we had like a little bit of video games, but not much. I mean, for the most part, my friends and I did the same thing. We went everywhere on our bikes, and we had to be home by dark. Like, if I went to a friend's house, I called my mom to let her know where I was. I mean, there was no tracking. They didn't know where we were. They had no clue what we were doing.
Oh.
Legit would never let my own kid do that. I'm not even kidding.
It's so funny how different it is, because I would just go, see you, Mom. Okay, be home by 7 for dinner. Okay. She had no idea where, and I grew up in Toronto. I'm riding my bike all over the dang city. She had no idea where I was, what trouble I was getting into, who I was with. They didn't care back then. It didn't matter. Nowadays, it's like, I'm going to go here. What? I need their phone number, their email. I need to meet them. Like, all this. It's insane. Like, people are paranoid these days. And anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
That's a whole other conversation, but thanks to the advent of true crime.
Yeah, but it's just fun to watch even in this episode. Like they caught the 80s pretty good. I just was saying Stranger Things really gives you a good idea.
Yeah, well, Stranger Things is like set in the 80s, so I mean, they get to live in it a little bit more. Like, we're just here for an episode, so it's a little harder. But I agree. I mean, from what I know of the 80s, I think they did a pretty good job. I was very little in the 80s, so my memory of the 80s is pretty fuzzy. But kind of what I wanted to say about this point is just that, like, God, parenting is hard. Parenting is so hard, and I think she was just doing her best, and I think she was just worried he was a loner, mostly because, like, every parent just wants their kid to be happy. So, like, it's really hard to feel like your kid is happy when they very clearly don't have any friends. So, I know, and it's hard. And so I think she tried to be supportive, like, towards him, but inwardly and, like, in a moment of weakness, she's going to be like, I don't understand why he spends all his time with his inventions and why he doesn't have any friends, and, like, he does these weird things because, like you said, to her, it's abnormal. And in that time it was. I mean, things have changed quite a bit now, and I think people recognize that a bit more. But I think she was doing her best, but everybody has their breaking points, and especially when your kid's doing all this, like, crazy stuff, and she's like, why? Like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Well,
she wants her son to go out and play and ride her bike because she's got to go on a date with X-Force. So, like,
yeah, totally.
So we get the Men in Black back from last season, and we've got, from the crossover, we've got Glasses Guy, and that's really his name. I'm like, really? That's his.
I thought we got his name in that.
Well,
in the crossover,
yeah, maybe. But, like, if you look at IMDb, his name is Glasses.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the character's name is Glasses.
See, we called him horn-rimmed glasses in the crossover, I think, because there's an older version of him, isn't there? I'm trying to remember what his story was again in the future. One of the crossover events, he was somebody that we were worried about or concerned with because he was against all of the heroes. Like, I can't remember.
He's the main guy behind the Dominators.
Yeah.
He was, like, running the whole, like, Men in Black ring.
But the older version of himself, right?
Yeah. Well, we get a flashback to see the younger version, and then he appears again in this episode.
Yeah. So this is when they were really trying to keep all the shows connected pretty well back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried to connect it back to the crossover.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in this episode, we get the side story of Jax and Mick on the hunt for what Stein is doing, because the jump ship's being taken. He's building what we will know as the lab area, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they have a very different reasoning for what he's doing, before we actually find out what he's doing.
Yeah, because everybody was so suspicious of him, and I think even we were wondering, what is going on? What are they doing with Stein all of a sudden? But it turns out being Lily again, and it totally makes sense. And I was wrong, because last week, Carly, you missed it saying, I think this is the only time we see her or see Lily the entire season was the one video clip, but she showed up here again. Because I remember us really liking the Lily character and hoping we'd get more of her, and then all of a sudden she disappeared and we never got her again. It's like that comes.
She disappears because Stein dies. That's when she disappears.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. She disappears this season because he dies, and we have no reason to keep connected with her.
But I thought even leading up to that, we were wanting to see more of her. Like it was last season, we thought we were going to get a lot of her, and then this season we don't really get her. Just a couple of little tidbits.
We get like little bits and pieces, and then after he dies, it's nothing.
Yeah. But I do appreciate Ray saving his younger self. He's given him those conversations, but actually seeing him stand up and save his younger self, I just really enjoyed that aspect of this story.
It makes me wonder, like, we used to remember in the first 2 seasons we had all that talk about interacting with yourself in the past in the timeline, and it's going to screw up and have a time collapse and all these different things. I wonder what this does when you meet your younger self, because they only ever related it to running into yourself as yourself, where you would recognize who you are, and that's what would break the time. But here, Ray's running into a kid version of himself. The kid version is not going to recognize who he looks like as an adult. So does that not break the timeline? Does that not mess things up and cause a paradox or whatever, a time paradox?
Yeah, and I would say yes, especially because like when you're that young, once you eventually age up into the person that comes back, I feel like the memories might be like fuzzy, or you may not quite associate that with, oh yeah, that was like myself. Like once you grow up and realize like it's kind of coming full circle. That's kind of like a weird timey-wimey paradoxical thing, but I think just like the lens of memory, it kind of probably masks it.
Yeah, because like, did he even say that he was his, like, I'm you as an old, I don't think so. Like, so
no.
And then the other question too is like, when they spend this much time with young Ray and he's having all these experiences that adult Ray never had before, we should have seen adult Ray starting to have his memories rewritten, and things start coming back. Oh yeah, and this, and oh yeah, and that. But I think by the episode, do they reset the timeline and they fix it by fixing the anachronism, so this past doesn't actually happen?
No,
because Ray these memories should develop in his brain if they never fix the past.
Eventually, they should. But like I said, the memories from when you're 8 or 9, once you're like in your 30s and 40s, I mean, everything is fuzzy, and what you may or may not even remember. But yeah, I would assume at some point he will have those memories, or what or what's left of them, I guess.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay. I know, I just love seeing his action figure self in this episode. Those are fun special effects. Like, I want a Ray action figure, but it's just funny that he was still animated.
Yeah. So we get to see the Mominator on the hunt for her kid, and she won't stop for anything.
Ooh, this was creepy. I had completely forgotten that she played Ray's mom, or projected whatever the image was. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, and we know what that moment leads to. He kissed the I kissed her and I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, But yeah, I mean, just imagine that. Like, she looks like Ray's hot mom, and really, when she changes into the alien, can you just imagine like this? I can't. That's crazy.
Nope, you're muted.
You're muted, Jeff.
Sorry. And we even get a musical number in this. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It had to. I mean, with musicals being at the heart of the story in the beginning, they had to have a musical, a small one anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Singing and dancing, Men in Black. So, talking about use of powers, here again, we get Zari using her powers to give us a real E.T. biking, towards the moon E.T. moment.
Totally. And because Zari, the story behind this is the totem was her brother's. So she never really used it. So I wonder how she knows to just use it so easily, because she flies. And here she's just like, it's does it work like the Green Lantern ring? Like, she just taps the totem. I need to make the bikes float away. Like, how does she decide how the power works? It's just it just does what she needs it to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember if they end up explaining that or not.
I don't know if they do. That's what I mean. Is it just willpower? Like, whatever she thinks the totem does? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Well, the crew finds out the real reason Stein was sneaking off. He built a communicator so he could talk to Lily, and they get him by stealing the ship to the hospital on time, and we get to see Grandpa Stein, and it was just precious. So loved it.
It's the perfect spot for Stein and for Victor Garber. I mean, he's pretty adorable in that role.
Yeah, I know.
Grandpa.
Rough.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I'm still mad.
Yeah.
You've been mad for 5 years or 8 years.
Yeah.
Still mad.
Yeah. But the closing of this episode, I just thought this was so cool, because you get to see them all decked out in their costumes, trick-or-treating with young Ray, and you get to see Zari in her comics accurate costume
of Isis.
So this was so fun.
That scene is so great. We got it coming up, but I'd love the entire scene, but my gosh, Zari is so smoking hot in that outfit. Why couldn't she wear it more for the rest of the season? Please, just
because
wear
she can't fight in it.
Oh. Oh my God, yeah. Yep.
Oh.
I just thought it was funny that she's like, how do you fight in these things?
Yeah.
It's true.
And then at the end, we get Jax talking about wanting to break up Firestorm so that Stein could be with his family. And I had totally forgotten about this aspect of him wanting to come up with a way so that he could still be the hero and be on the ship, but Stein could be where he needs to be.
I completely forgot too, and I forget where it goes from here. Him wanting to break it up and split it up, completely out of mind. So it'll be interesting to see where this journey goes, because I don't remember.
Well, I think that's how they get the cure in the first place. And then it just becomes convenient that when Stein is dying, that they have to do it anyway. I'm jaded by this whole storyline.
Yeah. Ugh.
I'm annoyed. They had the opening. Could have just let him retire. Could have just done it. Could have.
Yep.
Just saying. I say that a lot this season.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Until he dies, then you'll have to hear about it again.
Well, let's get to our favorite scenes for this episode, because I think we got some good ones here as well.
Shape out an eagle!
All right, X-Force, lead the way.
I called this one Turning Me into Rory. So let's take a listen.
Leave it to young you to see the best in that thing. Though you were pretty lonely.
What? I wasn't lonely. Just choosing to focus on my studies. This is probably just my scientific curiosity getting the better of me. Again.
Popcorn's ready.
Aren't you supposed to be in school?
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is a problem.
No. Yesterday I was shoplifting. Today I'm a truant. This thing is turning me into Rory.
Youngie was on the way.
Yeah, I just thought this was so fun, of the two of them getting to interact and Ray sharing and just Ray's little quip about the Dominator, turning him into Rory. It was just fun. So
Totally was. Yeah. Ray is not liking the new version of himself.
I loved all of those little bits. That's about the delinquency and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm going with a scene with Ray and Zari. This is when they're talking to little Ray near the end of the episode, and Ray's kind of giving him a real world speech about the world isn't so great. And this is what I was saying. It was hard for me to watch Ray have to accept that things aren't the way he remembers seeing them back then. And he's trying to pass that on to little Ray so that he can grow up a little bit differently than he did. But Zari kind of steps in to help smooth it out. So here's that scene.
We can't leave without Gumball.
Look, that thing is not your friend. It may be cute and cuddly now, but sooner or later it's gonna turn on you.
Gumball wouldn't do that. We can save him. I know it.
Look, Raymond. I get that you're lonely and that you're just trying to cope. But, buddy, you can't live in a fantasy world forever.
Right.
Look, trust me. I understand that it hurts to learn that the world isn't as perfect as you want it to be. But sooner or later, you have to start facing reality. Otherwise, you're gonna end up getting yourself killed.
Okay. Listen to us. We're gonna save your friend and make it out of here together. Right? Because that's what brave knights do. Right, Sir Galahad?
Let's do it.
The thing with this season, I mean, this is only the second episode with Zari, and she already fits right into the team, to this cast, to the show, and I think that's part of why we love her so much. No other new character that joins the show ever quite did it as well as she did. Like, Zari was just magic right from the get-go. Ava does, we do end up, Ava's my second favorite character, but every other character after that, none of them had the magic that Zari did.
No, I agree. None of them did. Yeah. I love Ava too, but yeah. I think that's a testament to Tala's acting, personally.
Yeah.
I do really like her. I need to look up at what she's not in anything right now, but what she's working on in the future.
Yeah, I'd like to follow her too, actually.
Yeah.
All right, Harley. Now you got a legitimate scene of your own. I
do. I chose one towards the very end, and I called it, I'm not crying, you're crying.
I added a little bit to it because there's all this music happening, and I didn't want to jump the scene in halfway into the music, so we go back a few seconds before just to hear it all. Because Legends is so good with their music back then.
They are, yeah.
You have to go now. You need your mom. But we'll still be friends. I'll be all right. I have people here to take care of me. And I wouldn't have found them without you. Go on, little buddy. Go to your mama.
See you later, Gumball.
I'm not crying. I just have alien goo in my eye.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna go brush my teeth forever.
Wait, why?
the tag on the end.
Ray is so naive. It's just hilarious.
Well, I don't think he knows anything that happened during those scenes.
No.
I just, it's touching, but also funny.
And again, Legends was so good at that back then. They could tug at the heartstrings so well and make us feel and get a tear in our eye, and then they can just dump on it with humor right after, and you're laughing our asses off. Like the writing back then was just stellar all around.
Yeah. Cry and laugh in the same scene.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose that. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a good
fun.
All right, guys, if you would like to support the show and you still can, even though we're just doing rewatches right now, we appreciate all you Patreoners that are still hanging on and doing that for us. We really gotta do a hangout, guys. We have to find a week to do. Maybe in one of the in-between weeks when we're not doing a rewatch pairing or something.
Yeah.
We can figure it out. Okay, because we owe it to them big time. So, yeah, if you'd like to support the show, this is what you do.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
Which kind of reminds me, I think I owe 2 people prizes still from way back. I'm like way overdue on that, getting that stuff sent out. So yeah, I'll have to fight. We had 2 because it was for like our 250th episode or something, I think. Yeah. Okay. I got to do that. Sorry, guys. All on me. Too much going on in the summertime. Let's get to some feedback. Figured that one was relevant with the lasers. All right. Take her away. Email from Comic Geek Kev.
Hey, Legends. I guess I'll read this one.
Yeah, you haven't read one for a week.
I have not, but I have to comment on the next one as well. So maybe I'll just read all the feedback this week. So, all right, from Comic Geek Kev. Hey, Legends. I'm glad you're doing the rewatch because it reminds me this show actually had good episodes at one point. True that. The introduction of Zari was great. I remembered that she was from the future, but I didn't remember the whole situation. The actress has always been great right from the beginning, often having to overcome some questionable writing in later seasons. Her initial interactions with the team were well written, including her reading of them in episode 4. I had definitely forgotten how reluctant she was to be part of the team in the beginning. Yeah, she doesn't really become part of the team until the famous Groundhog Day episode.
Yeah, you're right.
I love the Little Ray episode. That kid was fantastic. I'm not sure how you look at that baby and automatically say Dominator, but sure, okay. But the spotlight on Ray is always welcome. He was such a lovable goofball. But why does it seem like when Amaya activates her totem, she basically just does something she could have done anyway? She calls up the Panther, I think, and then just jumps on the Mominator. I didn't see anything super powered there. Maybe it read better on paper than in filming. I think it's more about like the strength and the agility, maybe? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'd give episode 3 an 8.5 out of 10 breezy totems and episode 4 8.75 out of 10 major movie ripoffs. So true. Until next time, stay legendary. Comic Geek Kev.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good point he brings up about Zari not joining the team right away, because I remember Rory says to her, like, this is a good place for you to hide. You're on the run right now. So I think that's all she's using them for, is I'm hiding with you guys, but oh, hey, I get to time travel too? Okay, that's cool. And she wants to check it out. But yeah, she doesn't want to be with them quite yet and stick around. So
yeah, no, she doesn't. Well, because we find out in the next few episodes that she's just on a time ship looking for a loophole, trying to save her family.
Yeah.
And we all know she does eventually find one.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm going to continue on with this next one because I need to add commentary around it. So,
okay.
We got an email from Rebecca Johnson. Big shout out to her. And I do not have the business card handy. She has a podcast that everybody should check out, and I will plug it when we when we get this file, but she sent the audio file from DragonCon. We did a Superman and Lois season 3 panel. So she had recorded it. I am a colossal idiot and forgot my recorder, left it in the hotel room. I had it with me. I just completely forgot it for every single panel that I was on, and I was on 4 of them.
Such an amateur move, Harley.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, Dragon Con brain, it's a thing. Anyways, I did Superman and Lois, and Rebecca was nice enough to offer us the recording should we want to release it. She does it's a Supergirl based podcast, but they also talk about Superman and Lois. Cannot remember the name of it, but I will look it up and I will shout it out on the next episode.
I have it here. I forgot to include it from the email that she sent. It is Supergirl Radio.
Oh
Supergirl
yeah.
Radio.
They've done some partnerships with John and Justina when they were doing Made of Steel. So yeah.
Good. Oh, I should have told her that. I did not know that. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. She has our email. She has the business card clearly because she reached out to us. So if you happen to listen to this, thank you for sending it. It was a pleasure to be on the panel with you. I did not know you were connected with John and Justina, but we're all kind of interconnected that way. So that's fun. And so I did Superman and Lois. I did a Foundation fan panel, an Invasion fan panel, which is on Apple Plus. And what was the 4th one that I did? Oh my God, I'm blanking.
Con brain.
Yes, seriously. I'm going to look it up in my phone. But I had done another one. I didn't record any of them. Thankfully, Rebecca recorded this one.
Cool. Well, she sent it to
Stargirl.
me. Stargirl? Oh, there you go. Stargirl panel. Well, she sent it to the email that I got, and when I went to get the file, it needed access denied. You have to request access. So I sent her an email saying, hey, we need access, and I believe she's gone ahead and done that yet. So it's an hour-long file. So
yes, it was an hour-long panel. So we'd have to release it as its own episode.
Do you want it? I was going to just ask you right now, do you want it as a bonus episode just to release it? I can send you the file, and then you can play with it or whatever.
Yeah,
or...
sure.
Okay.
Sounds
I can
good.
tweak it. Cool. Well, there you go. We got some bonus content coming for you. An extra panel that Harley did while she was at DragonCon. Talking about Superman and Lois. Cool. That is it for our feedback. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Comic Geek Kev, for giving us something to respond to. I know a few of you are with us on this rewatch, so hopefully we hear from you guys as this goes on. So yeah, if you want to be part of the show, send in your feedback. Audio would be much preferred, but emails, we'll take them. I guess. Maybe.
I won't read them all next time.
Here's how you do that.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
It's kind of fun because we've been away from Legends for quite some time now, and just hearing all of our old sound clips that we've done for so many years, it feels like I'm home again. Like because Legends ended when? It feels like it's been a long time now since we did our big Legends finale, right?
It's been a little while.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't it? Something like that.
March of 22.
Oh, geez, so it's been over a year. Yeah.
Well over.
Holy cow, a year and a half. There you go.
I was going to say, it's been a while.
And that's why my soundboard is a little messed up, because I'm looking at it going, I'm missing some clips, and everything's out of order. I'm looking at it, all the finale clips are in here from our very last episode, because I didn't want to delete them.
Ooh.
So they're all in here. All the character clips and everything that we did for our big finale. We'll have to go back and listen to that one again, because that, like the Arrow Squad finale, I listen to that once in a while. I gotta go back and listen to our Legends Goodbye too, because when I feel like having a tear in my eye, I'll go listen to that. The goodbyes. So what do we got coming up, guys? Check out Dive Into DC. They are covering My Adventures with Superman is what's next on their list.
Yeah, that's their next episode. So yeah, they're doing episodes 1 through 5.
Right. Right. And so that's a new animated show, a new cartoon, and I haven't checked it out yet myself, but I'm going to because I've been hearing good things about it. Yeah.
Nice.
And then, of course, go to The Mandalore to watch Ahsoka or listen to our coverage of Ahsoka because it's really, really good if you're into Star Wars stuff and you know the history. If you watched Clone Wars and Rebels, you'll understand. And it was this week's episode, Jeff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Out
good.
of this world, something you never thought would ever happen happened. It's pretty freaking cool. So check that out. And yeah, that's it. This is The Flash signing off for now. We'll see you next week.
This is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Harley's very rusty.
I was like, am I supposed to say something? I'm supposed to say something. All right, bye.
We haven't changed anything, have we,
So
Gideon?
it's business as usual then.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
We screw things up for the better.
We screw things up for the better. There you go.
Indeed.
And then we're still trying to round out the clock. All this extra chatter at the end of the music. But anyway, guys, we'll see you in a week. Just remember, we're doing 2 more episodes next week. Talk to you then.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.